Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I'm your host, DBJ, and today we are continuing our travel around these cultural, historical, mythological realms in our own world, and then having them placed in a tabletop role-playing game. So, first, so that we are on the same page. If you're familiar with maybe I'll even put it in the chat. If you're familiar with the OSR game Cairn, and hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If you're familiar with that, then you will absolutely understand where this supplement comes from. So this book is an adventure in a setting location, not very long. But it does represent a tabletop, part of a ongoing tabletop role-playing game. As a matter of fact, I will copy and paste. Just put the link to Cairn. I believe the first edition of Cairn is an OSR style tabletop role-playing game, and then there's a second edition that is coming out with or maybe has already come out with a box set, and this fits into it. Now, admittedly, even on the back of the book of Beyond the Pale, which is what we're going to go through today, it even suggests that yes, is it adaptable to Cairn and OSR D20 style fantasy game? Sure, but it can be adapted to any of those old school games very easily, and I agree with it. So what is Beyond the Pale? Well, we will get into what it is. It is derived from a Jewish settlement in the western portion of the old Russian Empire, back between the 1700s to the early 1900s. And we're going to take a look at what it's about and how you could introduce it in your game. But first, go get yourselves ready. Go take a bio break. Get yourself some snacks. Come back and let's get into it. Hello again. This is an image of the front of the book. I do have the print copy, and it has a like a dark denim feel to it, kind of soft and woven. It's pretty high quality considering that it is like an A5 book. Maybe what would be the size? 5x8 or maybe a 5x8 size. It's very much a literal pocket book, and so I didn't want to give you an image, a cover image of it, simply because it's a little difficult to show it to you because the PDF doesn't show you the cover of it. But I also want to show this to you as well, and this is an old map of the region in the real world where this particular event may have taken place, and we'll get into it. So this is a map. To the very south is the Black Sea, and to the very north is the Baltic Sea. And this settlement, known as the Pale of Settlement, was a region in which Jewish peoples were restricted from leaving this area and settling any other place. And so when they gathered together, this was the region of the world at that particular time where they gathered together. Again, what we're doing here is talking about various tabletop role-playing games that are based on, many scoops of history, culture, region, language, tradition, and this happens to incorporate that. Let's get into the PDF and show thee Where's my... Okay. I don't understand. There we go. All right. I was like, where'd it go? Here we are. Hopefully it won't disappear on us like this has happened before. There we go. Beyond the Pale. And Beyond the Pale is a fantasy setting, and it is based upon a Jewish settlement. And literally the name Beyond the Pale makes a reference to a place that maybe goes beyond the historical location, the Pale of Settlement. Maybe it goes beyond that. And it goes beyond that, not just in location, but really more in fantasy, mythology, and psychology. So we'll get into this document. For those who are unfamiliar, the writer of the creator and game designer of Cairn, Cairn, a first and second edition, Yochai Gal is the creator of that game, and he is admittedly Jewish. And during the development of this game, gathered together the other individuals that were part of it, who all claim to and ascribe themselves to be part of the Jewish community. And I was like, oh, kind of cool. So here we have a map of the location. And mind you, you could take this map and dump it into pretty much any fantasy game. And this Beyond the Pale is less a global setting and more of a smaller regional setting. Because we've talked about, I mean, on this channel, we've traveled through the Americas and across the ocean and into various parts of the Mediterranean, down into deep Africa as far as fantasy tabletop role-playing goes. This one is a smaller area, much more bounded. As you can see on the map, to the very north we have mountains, to the east is a coastline, to the west is the blue forest and such, and to the south are some hills and mountains and another forest region, and then we have all of the locations that are set in the map. And mind you, of course, as you can take a look at the map, does it have a key to how long one place is away from another? No, but it's implied that maybe not too many days. I wouldn't even say there would be weeks involved in travel. Definitely, you can see the iconography already of its Jewish contents. Let's get this a little bit bigger. Is this? Yeah, it is linked. Cool. Table of contents is linked, so you can click on any of these and be taken right to that location. Less than 100 pages long. Why isn't it not? Okay, there we go. So here we have the adventure summary. I don't want to give too many details away about this, but I will tell you why I'm including it in this, even though it's technically an adventure book. So the adventure Beyond the Pale is an overland adventure for the Cairn adventure game, but it's easily adapted to other old school role-playing games. The module is centered around a tight-knit but divided religious community and its efforts to fight the March of Progress. The setting is an isolated wilderness region with a single settlement, the Shtetl of Kest, and the PCs are likely visitors, although they may be related to a local. And if we read this portion here below, the historical overview, right here, the setting in this book is based on an actual territory in the western parts of the Russian Empire called the Pale of Settlement from 1791 to 1917. For over a century, the Jewish people were restricted to this region. During that same time, hundreds of thousands of Jews were killed in anti-Jewish attacks. Even with these restrictions, Jews in Europe were able to cultivate a rich culture and language. Together, they formed tight-knit market towns called shtetls. I'm not sure if that's the proper pronunciation. Shtets. The currency used in this setting is called the Groschen, Groschen. And the reason why that's important is because when you discover what's in Beyond the Pale, it is because of its tight-knit community. It tends to have its own culture and language and names of the occupations and their titles, and it really separates itself from your air quote average village in a fantasy setting. And I like that because when players crest a hill and you want them to go to a place that's new and you want it to feel new and different and odd, and a place for them to explore and learn, explore the people culturally, explore geographically, explore secrets and knowledge and whatnot. It really tends to all of the NPCs involved and the locations that are involved really make you feel like, I'm not just in a rando pseudo fantasy place. I'm in a place that has deep history and tradition. And you'll notice in this is a 2-page spread. You'll notice that in the outer margins, they will give you lots of detail about things, like a Mazikam or Mazik is an evil spirit determined to cause mischief and mayhem, and it will explain some of the terminology and histories and things like that, and maybe a couple of secrets as well. Like an Esteri is a vampiric creature that can appear as a human, woman, or as an owl. So it talks about the history of Kess, what happened in a deep past, what happened 12 months ago, and this adventure has a timeline to it, and of course that means that things will happen whether the players, it is assumed things will happen unless the players involve themselves in it, and I kind of like that. So here we have a timeline. Things happened before the players got there on Monday and Tuesday, and then the players arrive Wednesday before all hell breaks loose, somewhat figuratively, but mostly literally, and the events that happen in this town. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday. There are some example adventure hooks to get the players involved in it, but if your players are proactive, the simple act of them coming around the corner, coming to the city for the small town, the city of Kest for any number of reasons, always works. And then we get into our NPCs. Why did it disappear? What is going on? Okay, all right, let's see if we can get this back. Please tell me you're back. There we go. I did not know that. Groschen is also the German word for dime. Makes a lot of sense because it is the word for coins. Essentially fantasy gold pieces and whatnot, and that's the word that they use. So thank you very much there, Drew. See, that's what happens when you're when you're an idiot and you're surrounded by people who have greater knowledge than myself. I tend to look good. And I appreciate that. So these are the NPCs, and as suggested in the book, for example, we will go with the Araya, the Rabe or Rebe, essentially the rabbi, because this is a fantasy iteration of this Jewish community. Because it's fantasy, they're not technically Jewish, but they are of that ilk and incorporated into a fantasy game. So no, this is not I'm going to use the word emulator. This is not a religious emulator in terms of the real world. It is fantastical, done on purpose, right? right? Um, right here in the NPCs and throughout this book, if there's a little zero, like a little zero or small round circle or check mark, that is the very common knowledge that either the players already know or very easily know when once they meet this person. Within 30 seconds, they're like, oh, okay. Like, for example, this guy says, irritates the less pious with early morning calls to prayers and over proselytizing. So, yeah, the minute they meet this person, he's going to be talking about religion and who are you and who do you worship and you should come here and blah, 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 right? The rest of it, if you'll see a vertical line and then two horizontal lines through it. And that's something that needs to be uncovered through the player's actions, through secrets, through interaction with this person, through investigating their home when they're not there, little things like that. But most of those are secrets, and those are secrets the players can uncover in, whether they are very proactive in uncovering it, or maybe it comes across accidentally just through interactions when the players ask certain things or go certain places and whatnot. And then, of course, off on the side, we do have like what is a shoal, because in here it says like believes the Dybbuk is still trapped beneath the shoal in the Tree of Life. And it's like, well, what the hell does any of that mean? And then right over to the very left here in this document, it was like a shoal is a community house of worship, assembly, and study. And throughout this, you will gain little bits of knowledge about this Jewish community. By the way, I am intermingling, Jewish community, but this is fantasy, and this is a tabletop role-playing realm. Here's some artwork and the various NPCs that the players may encounter. It can get a little bit confusing if you are the game master or storyteller, dungeon master, facilitator, narrator, flame tender, because there are a number of NPCs, but it's not like you need to read 3 pages. This is just it's like 1 or 2 lines and you're done. You're like Ella the Shainker, short, fiery red hair with kind blue eyes, a Gentile. She runs the tavern house with her husband Carl. And then off on the side, what the hell is a Shanker? Shanker is a barkeep. In some places, Jews were not permitted to make alcohol, so there's a reason why she's there. She's a Gentile. She's allowed to serve alcohol when others are not able to do so. And then what the hell is a Gentile? A Gentile is a person who is not Jewish. So it does explain itself on the side, usually with 1 line of dialogue or 1 line of information, and makes it very easy to navigate. And again, this is a 2-page spread in the book, and once again, seems to be the indie standard now is putting all the information on 1 page or 2 pages. So if you were to open this book, this is exactly what you would see with the margin, the margin straight down the middle. Not margin, split in the book straight down the middle. These are all of the NPCs that are in this. Zalman the water carrier walks to and from the mirror each day carrying buckets of water on a stick. I believe the mirror is a river. River and... There we go. There's even someone with an arcane background that's a little bit a mysterious, maybe even fiendish background that is a bit of a red herring. And that here, yes, I'm giving a little bit away. This is Xena the Esteri. Xena appears as a woman with long dark hair that she uses to drink blood. It's weird. Blood gives her power and helps maintain her human form. She makes her nest in the blue forest, transforms into an owl at night. And never heard of an Esteri or Esteri, because it mentions over here an Esteri is a vampiric creature that can appear as a human, woman, or as an owl. And, being able to drink blood with her hair, I've never heard of that. And if that's like a a Jewish mythological vampire. That's kind of cool. And then here below are all her details and information. Drinks from small animals and sleeping travelers who dream of feathers and moon. Considers Zalman a friend and believes he is a Lamed Vavnik, much to his consternation. So the guy, the water carrier, she's like, believes he's a friend. And what's a Lamed or lamed Vavnik? One of 36 righteous saints said to keep the world afloat. So this NPC, a vampire of sorts, really likes this guy, this water carrier guy, and she's probably hiding a secret because she probably doesn't want to be murder killed. But is she the bad guy, the main bad guy? It remains to be seen, but for the most part, not really. Binding her hair prevents her transformation. Cut off from blood or offerings, she will die. And then one secret: provides information freely if she believes it will help protect Kest, the town that the main town. And then here we have encounter tables and traveling in the Pale in this region. Also, the idea that a religious group of people are restricted from settling in other areas of a nation could very easily be incorporated into a fantasy realm, especially a very generic fantasy realm. And then the questions can become for the player characters, like, did they know about this before? If they did know about it, did they have an opinion about it? If they're just now learning about it, what's the reason behind it? What's the history? And things like that. And you can fill in those gaps as you see fit. And mind you, a lot of that would be very self-centered, right? The people being affected by it are like, we didn't do anything wrong. They're harming us. Although maybe some of the elders might have remembered a particular time period where maybe if they've lived long enough, they're like, yeah, we did some actions that maybe we, maybe deserve some punishment for. And then there might be others on the other side of that are like, yeah, we have our own opinions, and we don't really have any facts. It's all emotion, and this is why we feel they shouldn't commingle with us. They should be over on that side, if at all. Mind you, many of the idea behind this is that a lot of those individuals were killed, hundreds of thousands of them. So where does that hate come from, if anywhere? Right? Going to your comments here. I keep thinking of Spaceballs. Funny, she doesn't seem Jewish. Yes, exactly. And there is some. Now, mind you, this is a horror setting, so there should be some suspicion about who people are. Like, is that old hag and a capital H old hag? Like, or is that person just speaking out the side of their neck, and the player characters are paranoid, right? That's kind of the idea. Nameless Spook says, I'm digging the vampire were-owl idea. Yeah, mind you, I don't know whether this was like it. I'm getting the impression that the beings in this adventure are from Jewish mythology, but I don't know that for sure. They could have just a bunch of Jewish creators were like, hey, let's make something and pull something out of our ass, right? But would I know? No, but I still think it's cool, right? Like, hey, there's a vampiric woman that drinks blood with her hair, and like, what does that look like? Does she cut the person open and her hair like dips down into the blood, or does the hair actually dig into their skin and flesh? Or, if you bind her hair, she may die or something. I don't know. Do I know anything like that? No, not at all. So this is the very generalized city of Kest. It's bigger than a village, smaller than a major town, but as you can see, this is not drawn to scale at all, and it's basically a point crawl, right? Like are things literally these buildings shaped the way they are with lines and whatnot? No. But what you're getting across is there are some pathways here. The tavern is on the outskirts of the town, as you can see in the upper left. Um, and we have our locations like the ritual baths. We have a marketplace. To the very right or east is the blue forest. That, where's the forest? It's off. The forest is way off in the forest area, right? Um, Towards the middle here, we have the Giving Hospital and the Shoal. And then to the very left, west side, we've got Edda's Crossing and the Mirror, which is like the river and the coastline. The Office of the Parnas, things like that. And there's some descriptors in here, and there's some other generalized buildings. And you can say, well, is it a residence? Is it an office? Is it for storage? A place for transients to live and stay for the evening? Things like that. I don't know. That's up to you. Bronfman's home. Bronfman's home. Bronfman's home. I don't know if the F is silent. I don't know. Like I said, I got a lazy stateside tongue. So Holt's Building, the Butcher. It looks like one word, right? Holt's Building, Butcher, but it's actually two separate things. Orphan's Mound to the southwest, and Cavier's Shack is to the south itself, and then we have north, south, east, west. There. Now the Shuttle of Kest. Again, here we have the Shuttle of Kest. This is the small town, and what is this place about? And some very easy things for them to find out, because you can see the little circles here. You could give this away to maybe certain characters that are adventuring here, like, hey Fightor, you know this thing. Hey, individual that came from a region close to this place, you know this other thing. Hey, individual that is very very God oriented, you found out about this thing. Very easy stuff to give away. And then here we have a secret of sorts that the players may not understand. For example, it says, wards against the evil eye are common to most homes. Salt tossed in corners, chewed thread, red ribbons tied to cribs, and eye or hand sigil. And for example, I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, here in the States. And then I just moved west out to central Ohio. And we have a community known as, there's a Quaker community, Mennonite community, Mormon community. What's the other one? Wow, I can't think of the other one. But anyway, if you travel along some of the highways and byways, east to west through Pennsylvania and large parts of Ohio, here in the States, you will see barns, and some of those barns will have a marking or a painted circle on them with intricate detail, and they are like, sometimes they're called hexes or wards, to bless a building or keep evil spirits away. And you often see this, what's been known with Gothic architecture. You'll see like gargoyles carved into the sides of buildings to scare away evil. And this happens to be one of those things that the players may find out. Now, do these wards actually work against the evil eye? I don't know. Or you can decide for yourself, like, is it based on them actually doing the thing, like tying red ribbons around cribs? Or is it based on belief, like if they are religious enough? Who knows? But in this setting, those are little details, and these are these little OSR details that the people who love old school gaming, very rules light things, love, because this is the kind of thing that you find in the game, and through organic role play, this may or may not become a big element. Like, the players are like, wait a minute, hey, if you tie red ribbon, can we tie red ribbon to our outfits, because that will protect us against evil spirits or the evil eye from wizards and old hags and warlocks or something, and that may become a real thing in your game, like mechanically, like you get a bonus, or you're able to do it once, and then the red ribbon fades and turns into like a gray tattered thread or something. And you're like, "Ooh, I'm glad I avoided that. Better go murder kill the person who gave me the evil eye or something." But this is the kind of detail where there are no rules, there's no mechanics. It is something you find in the world that may be a trick to surviving in the adventure. And instead of just gaining another bonus and gaining another level, this is the thing that you have in your back pocket that helps you as an adventurer. So days of remembrance, because remember, when the players arrive, there are a number of days as they're leading up to this festival, and this is the information they can very easily find out when they get to town, or maybe even just give it away to them before they get there. Here's the shoal. Is the well-maintained, but obviously older than the other buildings around it, and then you get some information about that. The Shaidim Bowl. Painted on the bowl is a creature with chicken-like feet, the ineffable name scrawled in rings around it. When flipped upside down, Shaidim may not come near. The Book of the Night Wanderer, also the Hospice, also describes its function. And you're just like, what does any of this mean? And again, like I said, margins gives you some information about what is an ineffable name, which is the precise name of the creator, its pronunciation, a powerful talisman by itself. Ooh, and what does, who is the creator? Is this a not monolithic? What is the name of religious culture that believes in one singular divine entity? The creator's name. And we have the different locations. Sometimes, if you've noticed this, if you go to take a look at it, you'll notice that there's this image of these 3 rabbits with their ears interlocked together. And I don't know what significance this has, other than being a cool design, but it's part of the game, and the players may come across it, and it could lead to other adventures as well. There's some strange and odd magic items. A staple of the OSR. This is an ink mirror, which is, you can see ink being poured into someone's hands. Pour the entire bottle into cupped palms to eavesdrop on any conversation that mentions the name of anyone reflected in the ink. For the next month, shadows scatter near the user and echoes die. And of course, ink on the hands, but that's very strange. Pour the ink into your cupped hands, and then you can see eavesdrop on any conversation that mentions the person's. So you could eavesdrop on someone talking about you, or someone else could be looking into your hands as you pour the ink into your hands, and then they can look and see if somebody's talking about them, which is very strange. Here's the Giving Hospital. Shatterfruit brandy. Gossips and rumors. And again, this is like a living town, a living place with things that are going on, little bits and pieces of information being dropped on them. This is very much an investigative adventure, far less different than like Keep on the Borderlands, where you're supposed to go to the Caves of Chaos and kill the goblinoids there. This isn't that. This is settling in, finding information, hearing gossip, getting pulled into other people's drama, and going like, I just wanted to take a nap. Here's a couple of silver pieces. Or I'm sorry, Groshen, the Holtz company. There is a little bit of a corporate factor in this game. What's been happening is a logging company wants to hack down and take the trees from the Blue Forest, and many people are against it, but there's a small group that made the case that maybe they should allow this company to come in and do some logging. And that's where the rift comes in with the community. Some are like, no, y'all kicked us over here, leave us the hell alone. And then there's others that like, we need to make some money, and the only way to do that for the community is to let them, take shares of our forest. Besides, we don't even go over to the blue forest anyway, so who cares if they cut it down, whatnot. The Vorstol witch, vaguely humanoid, but wears the face of a rotted tree stump. What? Carnivorous, she wiggles her tiny fronds into the air as a lure, a subterranean tunneler of great skill. Wears a mask that is just a tree stump. And then we get into the blue forest off to the east of Kest, and some of the details there, encounters, knowledge. The Amaranth. The Amaranth is a hidden trail marked on the map above that connects all the major points in the forest. Tree limbs and red flowers, see the butcher shop at page 29, act as markers that point the way at each junction. So maybe the players may find out information about the blue forest at the butcher shop and how you can navigate through it. And it, mind you, you don't really see any detail, but it does mention that like maybe the players don't know how to get from one place to another, but if they find a way to navigate here by looking at the tree limbs and the red flowers, you go, oh, okay, that means we can go to the east, and they can travel around far easier, maybe even avoiding some of these encounters in the blue forest. The blue forest, Dromfman's house, and far grove of tall trees. And again, this is it to me, it comes across less as an adventure and more of a bounded setting location. And I think it's kind of cool. I'm going to show you something here because there's a bit of horror and adult information here that I'd like you to see. Nameless says a Google search says the owl vampires are actual folklore that might have origins with the French Strix. Monotheistic. Thank you. That was like monolithic. That's not the right word. It's this is what happens when you go live and don't know much. Monotheistic. Nameless Spook says, I like that the ink mirror has a drawback in both physical and magical tell. Yes, and that seems to be a commonality in the OSR, where you have a magic item that does a thing, and then you scratch your head and go, wait a minute, there's a limitation to using this thing. Like, I don't know, there's a magic stone that lets you read minds, but you must hold the stone in the palm of your hand, and no one else can tell that you're holding it, right? And it's just like, oh, so I can use it, but I can't use it if other people see me using it. It's little things like that, right? And also, it's like an ink, so it's not like it's a mirror that you look inside of. It's ink, and most people think of ink as like for writing or like something like that. So how do you end up finding out that you pour the ink into the palm of your hands? Kind of weird. Yeah, Nameless is like, I prefer to say I know a little about a lot. Yeah. So our lady is killing loggers and the town is getting blamed? Actually, no. To be honest with you, no. Sorry, spoiler alert. A little bit of spoiler alert. The religious community member that was the loudest against the loggers created and has been using magic, albeit hedge magic, to come up with a way to scare the loggers away. And they made a mistake trying to create a golem, because that's what they were trying to do, create an artificial golem that would scare away the loggers and then protect the forest. And it didn't work out well. And so to animate the golem, they made a mistake, and what animated the golem got out. And now that spirit animation has been affecting members of the community, and the members of the community are blaming other things on what's been happening in this city. So there is an invisible spirit hopping from person to person, but the other people are like, hey, that old lady in the woods, I think she's a vampire. We should go kill her. Yeah, knowledge is knowing where you can read up on things. Yeah, so much of my information is less in my head and more in a place where I know to look for it rather than in my head, right? It's like I don't remember phone numbers. I just remember where my phone is at to go look for the phone number to call someone. I used to remember phone numbers. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember having dialed phones. So, if I can give you something that has an adult context to this, um, please be aware. And YouTube, please don't get me on this. Um, there is a bit of Jewish culture attached to this. So this is the Blue Forest, and this is Xena's nest. Now Xena is our proverbial vampire lady, okay, who has nothing to do with what's going on. Spoiler alert: she not only does she not have anything to do with it, by reading the context of her character, she's not technically, how do I say this? She's not evil. Now, she may not necessarily live in and reside with the residents here. And yes, she may be feeding on people, maybe even some of those loggers that are new coming to the place. But she also has a lot of respect for at least one individual in the town, if not more. But let me give you an idea about some of the adult business that's coming here. And this gives you some history and tricks of the trade. So, one of her traits is, in a secret, is visitors are not welcome unless they arrive with Zalman, the water carrier, or come bearing bread and salt. Now, remember, if we remember that we found out that red thread and salt in the corners keeps away some of the evil spirits. So why would a vampiress want bread and salt? Also, in the foreroom of her nest, which seems like it's built into like a nest of like oddly grown trees and whatnot, there's a carcass of a small creature lies on the floor, its entrails leading to a bed of hay and feathers, meaning she probably just ate that thing or drained it from its blood. Present, Xena sleeping or painting during the day. So she could be awake during the day, but maybe she's sleeping. But if she is awake during the day, she's painting. There's a carcass, a rodent drained of blood, pin cushioned with countless long human hairs. So I guess her hair does intrude into the body. And lastly, the bed. And it just says word bed. It's a secret, okay? Hidden in the piles of feathers is a dried foreskin wrapped in paper. It is very old. What the hell? The fact that she has hidden near or under her bed in a pile of feathers is a dried foreskin wrapped in paper, and it's very old. What does that even mean? For the most part, I don't know how the players would understand this foreskin unless all the PCs with a male member start grabbing their crotch and going like, ugh. But yeah, this is a thing. You know, some of us have had that skin removed. Some of us have not, and that is a cultural distinction amongst male babies who have male sexual organs. Oof, oof. She was laughing. Sorry, the logger murder was just a random game hook idea I was tossing out. Though I would be disappointed if we did not have a golem show up. yeah. That's part. It's a mystery game of strange red herrings that the players may encounter. That's like, you're the bad guy, and the bad guys are like, no, you're the bad guy. Yeah, back in the day, we dialed the phone both ways, uphill. Yeah. Nameless Spook says the foreskin is considered unclean, as I recall, in Jewish tradition, hence why they snip it. Yep. And why is she holding on to it? Is it a detail of her being unclean? Did it once belong to someone, like a mortal individual that she kind of cares for, and this is her somewhat backwards way of remembering this person? I don't know. Is she saving it for a ritual or something that will, or to appease the evil that's in this realm? Maybe she has it and has had it for a while, knowing that a even greater evil will reveal her, and this is kind of her like don't pull me into your machinations. I'll give you a gift or something. I don't know. It could be used for a ritual or whatever. It doesn't. They don't explain it, and you kind of have to like. I believe players will come to a conclusion that will be far more interesting and creative than anything I could come up right off the top of my head. So here we have the Shetton folk are human-shaped stick creatures. There's the colony. There is a cataclysm that is about to arrive in this game. There is a ticking time clock, and this monster here, Koresh Tigris, the many-faced, is that thing that is going to come to this place at the end of the festivities, and what was drawn to this area by a ritual that was created to create the golem in the first place, that is like building to a climax. The one difficult thing is that the game doesn't really give the players too many. Initially, the players are not going to know this happens, and once they find out about the incorrectly done ritual to create the golem in the first place that released the animating spirit, they're going to find out that other things are coming through the rift in reality, and this happens to be one of them, but they may not know this up front. But there is something here that I think would rub players the wrong way, and I wish this existed more. So Koresh Tigris, the many-faced, a giant hoofed beast with two heads, a black horned deer and a black lion. And here it encompasses every stat this creature has. And I'm going to read these two words. Effectively invincible. That's the entire stat block of this creature. Effectively invincible. I don't know too many games or modern day gaming that would allow you to get away with, no, this creature stat is effectively invincible. Like, yeah, you're not going to defeat it by rolling dice and hitting it at all. Forget that. How much damage does it do? However much you want it to do, right? How many attacks can it resist? All of them. So essentially, all of these things need to be brought up, and the information that the characters gather is the way to defeat this effectively invincible creature. The salt, the red ribbon, the ink, the vampiric lady with her foreskin, like all of that will lead to stopping this monster. There is no one way. There are no numbers of hit points or damage dice or modifiers or combos or spells or whatever to effectively defeat this thing, except creativity and knowledge and uncovering a mystery, and that's it. I mean, even one of these things, like this monster says, answers questions truthfully as they have no desire or need for secrecy. So even this monster that shows up, the players could commune with it as it destroys things or desecrates the landscape and whatnot, and maybe chewing on an innocent individual while the other head starts having a conversation with one of the player characters, and it's like maybe it gives away secrets of this town. Their roar can level buildings, cause teeth to fall out, and induce miscarriages. What the F? But very, very, very much folklorish in its depiction, and I like it. I like it a lot. I wish more games had effectively invincible monsters in it that are only defeatable through roleplay. Yeah. Let's leave this up here and see what you guys have to say. Drew says basic. Oh, here we go. Oh. Drew says no, circumcision is part of the covenant with YHVH in Jewish tradition. I'm not certain what that means. But basically as replacement sacrifice instead of Isaac by Abraham. Yeah, I'm the same way. Good to know. I was just going off vague recollection. I don't have my computer tonight. Yeah, I'm going with vague recollections too. Drew says, thus I would assume in the context of the adventure that the vampire had been a mother, at one point, and some of the people in the settlement might be her descendants. Agreed, but it doesn't tell you that. And in a way I like that because your presumption is not only, I think, on point, it's like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense too. You know, maybe the thing that turned this woman into a vampire is the thing that both allows her to protect the community but also ostracized her. Drew says, Nameless says, I like an invisible opponent. It really makes players think and encourage appeasement, like that system from a few videos ago. Yeah, from the what is it called? Wagadu Chronicles, where they had the spiritual monsters that had appeasements. Yeah, very much like that. YHVH is usually pronounced as Adonai, Adonai, is the name of God. Never known that. I literally just found that out right now. I thought it was an acronym that I did not know. I mean, I've heard terms like Yahweh and Allah, and different cultures have their own culture specific name for God, but no, I did not know that. You'll see I didn't point this out. You'll see an object, like an artwork from an object, and these are magic items that you could find. Classic D&D magic items, but they are very culturally specific. Like they, instead of like finding it in a treasure chest or something, you might find this candle sitting on a mantle being used or something, right? So it has significance. It's not like a random magic item that the monster wasn't using but should have been using that was tucked in a corner. It actually has cultural significance. Soul candle, thread and wax woven together by ritual, typically in a cemetery, and burning the candle can free a human host of any spiritual possession. Well, that's pretty significant. I didn't even realize that, but yeah, that's pretty significant. Yeah, because you're going to need that. You're going to need an invisible stalker. It's not an invisible stalker, but it is. Maybe it is. The mirror. Yeah, an angry, shimmering river originating from the mountains to the north and emptying west into the sea. Yeah. These are other places. The tent yard, Edda's crossing, under the ribs, inside the cave. Again, location-specific information. The Zamdberg ruins. And of course, picture of the ruins from the outside. A map of the ruins on the inside. And this map is very point crawlish. So it first is not to scale. And second of all, there's imagery inside of each of these, I'm going to call them rooms. And that imagery is like, is not to scale, right? It's like, oh, in the rotunda, there's like 4 pillars. Great. And you can describe them any way you want. So the baths, things like that. Location. Right. Classic Dungeons and Dragons stuff. There is spirituality in this. Azazel makes an appearance, maybe. Sa'irim, goat-like Shadim, born from scapegoats that have absorbed the sins of congregation through the ritual. That's very specific and like, wait, what? And of course, this image sounds like Azazel and its followers. Azazel, head of the Sa'irim, wears the chest of a man, wings and claws of a bird, head and horns of a ram, and tail of a lion. I don't like the way that's it. Wears the chest of a man. Ugh. But anyway, that's some of the imagery. If you do a Google search for Beyond the Pale RPG, you'll see something like that. And then these are the 1d6 sins of Kest. Because remember, the Sa'arim are like the people pray to have their sins removed, and these are the creatures that are walking around with those sins. And so the Sa'arim may reveal some of the sins of the people that are there, because these are the good creatures. They are the spiritual creatures, and the player characters may be able to commune with them to find out what some of these people in the town did wrong. I like that little detail of like a monstrous creature that speaks of other people's sins. The temple, the sanctuary, some information and objects that are there. Like there's a knife here. This knife is wild. A kenda knife, D6, a thin silver blade with no handle. The surface is engraved with letters from the holy tongue. And get this, never misses. A knife that never misses. When in range, ignore a target's hit points, but not their armor. By the way, hit points in Cairn are not, they are like a bruising. It's like a damage threshold. So you have like, I think it's 1d6 hit points rolled randomly. And then after that, then it starts taking away from you start suffering damage to your stats. And then critical damage. The victim's greatest sin is burned into the attacker's memory. Take 1 fatigue. That's weird. If you do critical damage, your target's greatest sin is burned into your memory if you use it. In a candelabrum, large gold lantern shaped like a flower bud. Worth 400 groschen, bulky. And Shadim and other spirits of harmful intent cannot enter its light. Other things that players can grab, gather, and whatnot. This image right here to the left is very strange. It looks like someone who is crouched down with the image of another creature having either on its back or having fallen on its back or something on top of this person crouched down. It looks very, very strange. I love it. Lilith's ashes, a powder made from the burnt afterbirth of a cat's first litter. What the hell? I love it. Yeah. Very, very, very much folklorish. And every bit and piece of this setting is like that. And I love it. Sprinkle the dust into your eyes, then blink it away. For 1 hour, you will see through any illusion or falsehood. If the dust is placed near poison, it scatters. I don't know if I'd want to use it if I found out that it was made from the burnt afterbirth of a cat's first litter, but it is folklore, and I suppose if you want to run a game or a world that's like that, it would just be, it'd just be another Tuesday. But the bath, the drain, the cave, more creatures, the tree of life. There is a tree of life underneath the city. Again, here is a point crawl map. This is not direct. This is not direct. This is just a point crawl map, and it's really cool and interesting how they do it. There are symbols. Each, I'm going to call them rooms, although they're not directly rooms, has a symbol associated with them that the players may find. And the symbol may correspond to a building or location that is on the upper level, that down in the so-called dungeon is down below it, right? So people, the cultists that are down here, not necessarily cultists, they're religious people that were trying to, help create this golem to protect their forest or whatnot, may have done this. And then, of course, something very cool that I see this done in some indie games is they will keep the map in the outer margin, so you know where you're at when you're reading the information about that location on the map at first. Basically, it's a smaller version of the dungeon, and they highlight the part that you're at, which I think is kind of cool, and also gives you. I'm a visual person, so it gives you a visual, like where the hell is this room again? Oh, okay, it's over there. And it talks about the pathways. Remember talking about point crawling. So the dot, the room, like this is on this map to the left, upper left, is the workshop. But then if we go over to the right side, you see path of destruction, and you'll see the pathway there. Basically, you have points, and then you have the crawl between the points. And it's cool. I think it's done. Again, everything is done one page spread, so you can just open up the book right in the middle, and everything you need to know is 1 or 2 lines of information, maybe even 3 of them. Look at that. The Dazzler. Pale and eyeless, out of the water, his stench is unbearable. A Shaid of great power, he preys on those who stray too close to rivers and lakes, traveling through the pools of fresh water. Hates Dybuks as they pollute his water. Dybuks or Dybuks, Dybbuks, are like evil spirits. Enslaved by the Rabe, or Rabe, like basically a version of the rabbi. Enslaved by the Rabe with a name slip. Will do whatever it takes to escape. Knows everything about the Tree of Life, save for the location of his name slip. Oh, it must be a slip with his name written on it. See the shrine. Yep, page 74. Okay. That's what I thought. Immune to most weapons, but sensitive to salt. Speaking his name backwards expels him from the mortal plane for a time. Even that. Sorry. Speaking his name backwards expels him from the plane for a time. What does that even mean? No save? How long is a time? Right? I don't know. But we can all come together with that. So that very, very, very old school parts of that. The shrine, this goes into details about it. Oh, here we go. There's the golem. The golem, the hospice, path of creation, treasure, the engine room, throne room. This is fantasy, but you do find that this seems to come across as a little bit further in history. Like there's no firearms, there's no printing press or anything like that. But yeah, the Aluka assumes the appearance of a small child, though her true form is an old woman with pharyngeal teeth. Smell strongly of jasmine. I'm going to copy and let's see. Pharyngeal teeth. Paste. Go back to what you guys are saying. But funny, she doesn't look like an invisible stalker. Yeah, yeah. I always thought invisible stalkers felt like what you feared. So an invisible stalker might have fur if you're scared of beasts, or scales, or stone, or sharp spines, but never felt the same. That's just me. Drew says, it is where Yahweh is derived from. It was forbidden to speak the name of God. Thus, it was written only as the tetragrammaton. And Adonai is about the vocals that would be placed there. I did not know that. That's wow. Okay. It is why I write Hastor for my own horror games as H. Oh, okay. Yeah. You are unable, or either you cannot or should not speak the name, so it is written as like a phoneme of sorts. It's kind of cool. A lot of Jewish students I knew in college would write GD on their notes for short, have it in papers. Yes, I now get it. Although I'm more or less associated with people who use other descriptors, like the true one, the creator, the Trinity, that kind of thing. Naaman says, I don't know if I'll run this, but I'm definitely getting it to getting it to steal ideas from. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm very much in that, and this is why I like to show these kind of things off. It's not necessarily like this is the game. I'm not putting my foot down like you should run this. This is a perfect game to do the thing, to do the thing. No, no, no. But what I am saying is like the creators, Yohai or Yokai Gal that wrote this and helped bring it to life with the other people. It's like just going like, hey guys, we're all friggin' Jewish. Why don't we make something that's like literally based on this? And they go, yeah, hey, I found this thing in this book that said about this historical thing. Let's make that our person, or let's make this a magic item. What would that look like in a fantasy game with stats? And like, well, let's write this down. And then of course, it's the carving the information down, 1,000-page book of history, and going, you know what? How about we just put a vampire lady in here? How about we put a golem in here? How about we put an old foreskin tucked under a bed and don't explain it, right? And I like that. I like that a lot, because what is it called? There's a amongst creatives, there is the idea that the more you bound your creativity, the more creative you become. And it's the paradox of having a white blank canvas, and you give someone all the paint colors in the world and tell that person to paint a painting, versus giving them only 3 colors, 1 image, and tell them to paint that, right? It's like the creative person goes, damn, I only have 3 colors and I have to paint that flower? All right, let me go, right? They're like, I got this done. Don't worry about it, I got this. But then if you give them everything, the paradox is like, I don't know what to paint. This is the Book of the Night Wanderer, written in white ink on black paper. Its words are always legible, even to the illiterate. What a great description of a magical book, right? Contains diagrams, numerology, arcane writing. See below for its use. And you can call upon angels, seraphs, basically. And each one gives you an ability. Rabe Ire would do anything to get it back. Worth 10,000 groschen to the right collector. Where the hell is this book? I'm sure it gives you clues to where the book is at, but you can summon an angel with the book. Sarifa, a channel of divine consciousness and energy through which the creator reveals itself. And so you can see that, it doesn't say God, it doesn't say that, it's like the creator, the Sarifa, that kind of thing. So, yeah. To summon an angel, the reader must hold the book in both hands and read the words from the page aloud. Roll 1d10 to determine the summoned angel. And then it goes into some of the abilities of the angel. And then once the angel arrives, the book disappears. Sorry. Here's Katir, the pedestal, home of Metatron. Oops. Or Choma, the courtyard, home of Raziel. Let's see what this says. A moving spiral of stars and nebula with a spark at its center. Their voice is never heard, but it is understood nonetheless. Oh, these are real angels. These aren't like winged cherubs. These are like multiple eyes, 7 wings that cannot be seen before. That's one of these things. You can alter or influence the dreams of another, but you are fully conscious during your own dreams. This does not make the nightmares any easier. Wow. How do you describe that power? That's cool. More angels and their symbology. I would even suggest that you could even make this, you could even add this into your game by having these symbols as tattoos, marked on buildings, on other objects and whatnot, and incorporate this into your wider world if you want to extend this game setting out even past the shuttle of Kest. And then here's the glossary for all the different words. Scapegoat. Literally, a scapegoat is a goat. Oh, it won't let me do that. Okay. A goat used to absorb the sins of a community through religious ritual. I know the modern term of scapegoat. I never thought about it coming from an actual goat. That is the first time I even considered that. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So that's the glossary. Further reading, of course. Absolutely, Jewish folk tales and other further reading all here. Yeah. Very cool. Stories and novels. The Jews, and this is more, I'm sure this is more historical. The Lost World of Russia's Jews, the Jewish Dark Continent, Jews in Poland, Women in the Messianic Heresy, Kabbalah, Mysticism, and Judaism. And the author's note talking about having, about creating it. Very cool. This book is dedicated to the Jews of Dnipro and Nova Ishtasia. May the names and memory of their murderers be erased from history. Very cool. And of course, we have a map at the back of the book. Photocopy at your leisure. Here's Kest, the town. And goes into talking about how the book isn't exactly his. The fonts. Oh, by the way, lastly, before we get out of here, I'm sorry, paging very quickly. Bam. By the way, let's see if I can get this. Writing, these are all the credits. First edition, first printing, Glasgow, winter 2024. The text of this work is licensed under Creative Commons BY-SA 4.0. This means that this book and the things in it are in the Creative Commons. You can use this. I am very impressed by that. I think they did a lot of hard work to get all this put together and to give it away. I think is very telling, and I'm very impressed by that. Looks like the pharyngeal teeth would be teeth in the back of your mouth on the softer palate back by where the mucus drains. Yeah. I think it's a genetic, I think it's a very human genetic thing, but attaching it to like an evil entity or something like that kind of gives across the idea of both humans punishing people who have a very simple genetic makeup, and also making using a very common, well, relatively common genetic feature, building that out into something evil and hideous, both at the same time. Kind of cool. So very impressed that they even put this book into the Creative Commons. Slow clap on that one, guys, because that's, for the most part, mechanics. We understand mechanics. You really can't. I mean, putting it in Creative Commons, it basically tells everybody, yes, these are mechanics, and don't worry about it. I'm not coming at you. But to spread this word, and I think that's what they were really going for, to spread the word out there for this, I'm very impressed by it. And I think both, let's do it this way. I think both the game itself and the material in it, I think their desire is for people to run with it, to uncover it, to celebrate and cherish this mythological, creative. Yeah, definitely. Like, look, it's a guess what? We're letting you use this Please cherish it. Please run with it. Please have fun with it. I think also something else that some of us in the community don't understand is, if you are from a, and this goes to the argument about diversity within the gaming community. There are extremists of all ilks everywhere, right? And some of those extremists are very odd. Like, for example, there's people who are just like, I hate diversity in gaming and I don't think we should have it at all. Fold arms, pout, right? And then there's others that are like, I don't want to offend those people. And I think what gamers are missing is that if you come from a particular culture or history or ethnic group or religion or whatever, and I'm going to say us, those of us that find that thing in us interesting and valuable and inspirational, we don't want you to not use it. We want you to use it. We want you to engage in it. And even if you make a mistake, the simple act of you saying, I don't want to offend anybody, is proof that you should be using it, if that makes sense, right? It's the person that comes into someone's home and goes, I don't want to offend anyone. I want to ask permission to do a thing. Well, that person is already establishing they have respect. They have their first intrinsic notion is to want to present this information without bias and without ownership and of course you're going, oh, well, you're already respectful. You've already proven that fact. Why don't you use this and put that in your own game? And me personally, I'm impressed by the game. I'm impressed by the book, in the sense of it being a spark of inspiration. It's like, oh, I want to add something like that to one of my monsters, or I want to add that to one of my NPCs. Drew. Hell yeah, Drew punching people in the throat. What is it? Drew hates hate. Yeah, I am fine with offending the bigots. And I will delight in when they call their own system to be woke. Yep. Yeah, it's the neither side is correct, right? It's like I don't understand. Well, I do understand. I think some people would love to they love tabletop role-playing games to fantasize a world in which they can embrace their bigotry, which, I would prefer people not to be that way, but you can't police someone else's imagination. As I've mentioned before, I think I pissed off someone that came to the channel that was just like, yeah, diversity stupid, and I was just like, you can't stop people from you can't police someone else's imagination. You just can't do it. So but yeah, I'm with you there, Drew. Let me put your comments back up here. I just want to show this off a little bit more. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for letting me show this off. I think it's a great example of a setting in which small things mean a lot, and designed like the OSR, meaning like Shadow Dark, Cairn, ICRPG. I'm talking about the new OSR, and a lot of the old Knave incorporated into this. It's the less is more, and how these games feel like Knave, Shadow Dark, ICRPG, Crown and Skull. These new style OSR games feel like elevator pitches. It's the television show that has the elevator pitch great concept that I got drawn into over the last 20, 25 years, that I'm pinching myself and smacking myself. Why did I get pulled into this bullshit? But has a great concept. Side note, there is a television show called Severance. It has a sci-fi element to it. And it's known as one of the most brilliant television shows. I watched the first episode. It's over 2 years old. The second season just started. It had a 2 or 3 year gap in it. Anyway, 3 year gap. And it has a great sci-fi premise to it. Yes, I'm going to get back to why it matters with Beyond the Pale right here. The concept is, what if you could separate your work-life balance so that when you go to work, you never remember what you were doing at work, and then your work life doesn't remember what you did at home. And it is a horror story in the making. It is brilliantly done. The first episode pulls me in. I don't know if I'll watch the rest of it. I hope I will. But it's wild because the person who never goes to work, who goes to work and doesn't remember it, just comes home. Basically, it's like, hey, I'm gonna walk, drive up to work, go in the front door, and immediately all you remember is turning back around and going back home. You don't remember anything you did at work. And your work person never goes home. They never sleep. They never get to feel it. It's wild. It's like two separate personalities in each character. It's so wild and punishing too, because it's like, wait, I don't remember who I am or what I'm doing. All I am is at work. And hey, work's done. I go to walk towards the door and turn back right around back again and clock back into work. I was like, oh shit. It's a horror story. So Beyond the Pale, I told you I'd come back to this. Beyond the Pale is a horror OSR setting. It does have a plot. It does have a timeline. But there are some mysteries in this that are great. It's got some great red herrings too, about the situation that's going on, the bad guy that's involved in it, the cataclysm that's about to come about. I really like it, and I really think that the 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 details, the nature of the mythological beings in this, and the magic items, and what the people believe, is something that I think could be used as a template for so many other settings. I would be happy if someone took Beyond the Pale. I know this. Okay, I'm gonna be very blasphemous with this. Beyond the Pale is in the Creative Commons, so let's start out with that. So I'm not saying or doing anything that would be wrong. I would love people from their own ethnicity, culture, history, region, hell, their own work life, their own specialty or whatever, to take Beyond the Pale and change every word in it, but put a parallel of this in your own words. So what I mean is, instead of the community of Kest, maybe you turn it into the name of your neighborhood. And instead of that vampiric lady, maybe there's something else that lives out in the dark woods. Maybe it's not a dark woods. Maybe you live in a mountainous area or desert or near a swamp or a major metropolitan city or something. Maybe there's something ethnically related to you that's like, we don't really have vampires in our mythological history, but there sure are flesh eaters, and I'm going to put that in there, or something of that nature, right? And just like what from your culture, your history, your ethnicity, your mythology, as a person around the world, would take the place of an old foreskin tucked under the bed, right? Like what would be the equivalent? Would it be like the small teeth of a child that fell out as they got older? Would it be like eyelashes or something? Have you spoken with Lloyd Collins about this cloth beyond the comment he left on your video? Yes, but not very long. Someone left a comment on my I was going to answer this a little bit. Someone left a comment on my one of my videos talking about the issues when Lloyd Collins did the Iscloth Kickstarter, how it was like very late and things like that. And I think I don't know if it's worthy of doing a whole video, but people don't understand how hard it is to do a Kickstarter. It is. If you want to be a game designer, what you're really saying is you want to become a professional at 17 other professions that have nothing to do with game design. Like, if you want to be a game designer and you want to release a book or a setting or your own game or your own 5th edition version of something, and you're like, hey, I want to put this out in the world, I want to run a Kickstarter or a backer kit or something, you basically want to become a marketer, you want to become an editor, a layout artist, a project manager, a information technologist. You want to become all these other real professions that real people make a lot of money at, and do that on your free time. Right? It's unfortunate. Yeah, yeah. And I'm surprised you I don't know your name other than nameless warrior here. Uh but I apparently you understand the connection. I have done freelance writing for other projects, like technically, I'm currently in something whose cool name goes here. I've written for Level Up 5th Edition, that kind of thing, and it's rough. And believe you me, I'm not the best person to work with. As open minded as I am, that has nothing to do with the work that has been done. You said you should do a whole video. People love a redemption arc. He was also incredibly rude to some of the backers who, in their frustration, called him out for not responding to messages, etc. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I think it's an emotional. I think he was being emotional. I don't agree with being rude to backers, but it gets to the point where it's like some people think Kickstarter and backer kit are it's a pre-order form, and technically that's not what it is. But we tend to use it that way, right? It would be amazing to see him back in the community. If he can own up and explain his mistakes, I'm sure many people would forgive him. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? You know what? You're right. I'll reach out to him. We aren't we are para friends. So if I reach out to him to get him to like come up and maybe we can talk about it, because he has mentioned like, hey, maybe is now a good time to for those who released 5th edition material to re-release it, using maybe even the new rules or bring new attention. Sometimes wears off very easily. Fear of missing out wears off. It's a big spike of, oh, this is new and interesting, and then all of a sudden it goes away. Yeah, it would be pretty interesting because I would love to talk to J.M. Perkins, who created Salt and Wounds, who got blasted for biting off more than he can chew about a setting built around the semi-dead body of a Tarask and the giant city that built up around it as they carved and harnessed its meat and organs and blood and skin and stuff like that, horn and all that kind of stuff, brains. But anyway, yeah, yeah, it's cloth. I when promises are made on Kickstarter and backer kit, I usually add another year to it. Hey, it'll be done in August 2025. I'm like, yeah, you might, unless you're good at it and you've hired people or they're going to take a percentage whose only job is to do that, I would add like another year to it. Although yeah, you ain't right. You ain't wrong about that, Drew. I have the feeling that plenty of people do not switch to the new 2024 version of 5e. I agree, because in a weird way, 2024 is not 5e any longer. 5e belongs in the Creative Commons. It doesn't belong to anyone any longer. And many, if not most people, have been using it for like the last 10 years. The 2024 version is a corporate entity. And while I do think some of the creators of 2024 put up their middle fingers and said, let's try to make the best 2024 we can before we walk out the door, with their middle fingers raised in the air. Yeah. Some people still haven't received their books. I had to get mine from eBay almost 6 years late. Seriously? I didn't know that. How did I get my book? I'm gonna have to go back and find that out. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, wow. That's why some Kickstarter people put out their books on print on demand, and basically you have to pay for like the printing costs or things like that, because it is hideously difficult to mail things around the world. I've tried it with like half a dozen people, and it's frustrating as shit. It's wild. Triangle Agency. Why are we on the same page there, Drew? I'm so annoyed that I missed the Triangle Agency on Kickstarter last year. That game looks so interesting, and Amazon does not have it in stock yet in my country. Oh, Triangle Agency looks so good, so good. I missed it too. I missed it too. I was just like, wait, what? And it came up on my feed. I was like, how come no one? Why did my feed not push this toward me before? I was listening to some of the creators have interviews about the game. I was like, oh wow. Sorry, nameless word isn't it? Anyway, sorry for the disruption. I do generally hope he's able to come back. Nameless word. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, warrior. I will thank you for giving me the, the incentive to go ahead and reach out to him. So guess what? It's your fault if I get Lloyd and we do like maybe like a public thing. Like I would love to do an interview with him, but if not, then maybe get him to come back and do some personal things and whatnot. Because for the most part, he shut everything down. And I think you know there when I was working with N World on Level Up Fifth Edition, there were some people who were spending they made it a full-time job to blast N-World for even coming up with the idea of creating Level Up 5th Edition because it wasn't going the way they wanted. And there are some people that use social media to exercise their demons. And if your skin isn't thick enough and it hasn't been eroded away through exhaustion and creativity and communication and planning and editing, and all of a sudden your skin is thin and somebody comes along and pokes you with a pin, it's like, wow, you'll just go off. I saw a clickbait for Magnus Archive TTRPG. Why the hell am damn, we must be in the same vein as Triangle Agency. We must be in the same. Our algorithms must align very much the same way because I've received the exact same thing. It's a Triangle Agency and the Magnus Archive is like a what is it? Investigative tabletop role playing game in which the investigators themselves are both influenced and are influenced by a thinning veil of reality. Something like that. What the hell did you do? What? What did you do? The best thing he can do at this point is address what happened, explain his mistakes, and try to move forward with a new version of Iscloth. Thank you. Well, no. Thank you for that. I don't. Thank you. You didn't have to super chat. Wow. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll reach out to him. No, I will literally reach out to him and send him a message. Give me about 10 minutes. 10 minutes after I go off the air, and I'll send him something and see if Drew says I would like to see an Iscloth version at the heart of the D&D. Ooh, you know what? There's a lot of systems out there. A lot of Creative Commons systems, not Dungeons and Dragons, that might more embrace that version because it's super hacked. But let me leave the super chat up here. I didn't know it would actually say super chat. Say the word because it doesn't. Wow. Oh, you can move it. Hey, babe. All right, guys. You guys have a great one. I agree with you there, Drew. I'll reach out to Lloyd and see what he has to say about it. See if he's in the mind state because I remember in the Facebook group that he is more willing to talk about it, and so maybe even have a talk and see what's going on, and talk to him about it and make amends for it. Like you said, maybe come out with a sorry, step back up again. There we go. See if there's a way for him to what's a good way of describing it. See if there's a way for him to just speak to the community. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do that. All right, guys. I've held you far too long. Hey, good night there, warrior. Um, the nameless one. For some reason, I'm thinking of Jet Li. What was the name of that movie? Oh man, where his name was literally nameless. Nameless Spook and Nameless Warrior, both of you out there, yeah. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it, and giving the impetus to do this. I did review Iskalov, but I would like to do a do another interview. So yeah, yeah. Anyway, have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. I honestly don't know which one I'm going to do tomorrow, but it has to be close to where we are today, which is the western part of the old 17, 18, 1900s Russian Empire. So we got to stay close to that. Maybe we will. Oh, we'll stay in Scandinavia. We'll do Vason. We'll do the Vason horror game. So, guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. I appreciate it. See ya. Bye.